How to calculate longitude? Well, longitude is a measurement of how far east or west you are of an arbitrary line, a meridian, and Greenwich was chosen as the city for this line. Now, longitude is much harder to calculate than latitude, and without it, sailors didn't know where they were. Thousands died of scurvy or were shipwrecked. So in 1714, the British government offered a £20,000 prize, now worth about £3 million, for solving this problem. It was the most complex scientific problem of the age. Now, there were two approaches to this at the time. One was through celestial timekeeping, and this used calculations involving the moon and the stars, but it was very complex, very time-consuming, and relied on having a clear sky. Now, the other involved mechanical timekeeping using clocks, but at the time, clocks were very inaccurate and were affected by heat, cold, and movement. However, all that changed in 1761 when John Harrison finally invented a clock, a chronometer called H4, that was accurate to 0.3 seconds per day in any conditions. So how can an accurate clock calculate longitude? The Earth is constantly rotating around its axis, and one rotation takes 24 hours. Therefore, the Earth takes 24 hours to rotate through 360 degrees of longitude. Therefore, in 1 hour, it rotates through 360 degrees divided by 24. That's equal to 15 degrees of longitude. And then this is how we make the connection between longitude and time zones. Well, here's Greenwich Meridian, and we can see that for every hour ahead of the Greenwich Meridian means another 15 degrees longitude further east. And every hour behind Greenwich Meridian means another 15 degrees of longitude further west. So, how can we calculate our longitude? Well, the first requirement is you have to have on board ship a very accurate chronometer set to the time at Greenwich, so that you always know what the time at Greenwich is, wherever you are in the world. Now, you need to find out what time it is where you are. And the sailors could do that by recording when it was noon, because that is when the sun was at its highest, and they could find this by using a sextant and a shadow line. You can then compare your local time, 12 o'clock AM, noon, compared to the time you had on your watch, which was recording the Greenwich Meridian time, and compare the difference. Now, if the time at the ship's location is, for example, 3 hours ahead of the time at Greenwich, then longitude must be 45 degrees east. That is 3 times 15 degrees. And equally, if the time on ship is 3 hours behind Greenwich, then you would be 45 degrees west. And by that, sailors were able to solve the problem of how to measure longitude. The Earth is constantly rotating around its axis, and one rotation takes 24 hours. Therefore, the Earth takes 24 hours to rotate through 360 degrees of longitude. Therefore, in 1 hour, it rotates through 360 degrees divided by 24. That's equal to 15 degrees of longitude.